And to help us understand the big stories for the day ahead, we're joined now by our assignments editor, Mpho Raphata, who obviously is keeping her finger on the pulse. Mpho, it's always great having you. What are the big stories for this Tuesday ahead?
So this Tuesday morning, we go to Burgersfort. I don't know if you remember that 19 mine workers at the Marula mine tested positive about just over a week ago, right? So this morning we go and visit the areas around Burgersfort and find out from the community, because they've expressed much anxiety, understandably, about these infections. And it seems like the health department in Limpopo is now going on an offensive with testing and screening in that area. So Hitekane is there today, and he's going to monitor the process and speak to communities and perhaps to some of those people related to the people who work at the mine and were infected as well.
I remember the province saying, when we had them on the AM report, that they're trying to change their strategy to targeted screening. I wonder what that means, but I'm assuming, of course, Hitekane will help us understand it better. Yeah.
So he will break down what that really means, and I suppose if those areas then present themselves with cases that are reported, they will go into those areas and do testing. One of the other stories that we're following the MEC for Education. You mentioned it earlier. Panyaza Lisufi is in Tshwane again this morning, and he is monitoring the delivery of PPEs and the readiness for schools to accept learners come Monday. But also this is on the backdrop, obviously, of that school that was broken into twice in 48 hours, also in that area. So we also visit that school to find out from that community how they feel as a community when people are vandalizing and stealing the very PPEs that are going to be for their children and the teachers. Yeah,
that school in question is Kulisile Primary. And for me, it was just such a sign of, I guess, the extent of desperation sometimes that people have to go to. Nobody would have ever thought of a situation where PPE would be targeted in a school that was recently targeted for theft.
Right.
It's just unthinkable. But
it's quite crazy. And then, of course, we wait for this evening where the National Command Council is going to brief the nation on those regulations that will affect level 3 come Monday. We expect that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma will break it down, and the various ministers will also speak to their department, the Transport Department, the Trade and Industry Department, and all other departments on how things are going to work as we go into level 3.
Absolutely all important, because I imagine some of the smokers among us still have all kinds of questions for the NCC. But they've got a mammoth task ahead. I think there's no overstressing that at all. Yeah. And lastly, in KZN, one of the stories that everybody wants to know how this one will pan out, the people arrested for the killing of that 17-year-old that was killed in Tongaat. Andi Lembutu, that's correct. They are appearing in court. Their appearance last time was marred by technicalities, really, and we hope that when they appear today, they then will be able to apply for bail. Whether they will be granted bail is another story. So Karinda Jagmahal is following that for us in Durban. One of my questions around that is whether or not they've been able to find the people who subsequently went on to actually burn down that local tavern. You remember, of course, after the body that's believed to be Andi Lembutu's was found, the tavern where it's believed he was beaten to death was actually set on fire. Yeah, so one of the things that Karinda will be doing is trying to find out more about the circumstances and that area and what happened in that particular story this morning. All right, and we'll certainly be touching base with all of them throughout the course of the morning and the day. Let me thank you for now. Mpho Raphata is our assignments editor here on Newzroom Afrika.